Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai, Rupa Nuga Guru Bhargya ki jai, Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Brinda ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So, today is Sunday, 10th of January 2021. So, a Happy New Year to everybody, if we didn't say that before. Yes. And we hope that that everyone is safe and managing to be healthy and sane in these strange times. Today we're continuing our discussion of Upadeśāmṛta by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu. A great work for us, actually. Many books written by Rupa Goswami, mainly dealing with Rasa Tattva, which is, not our level of study. You can say it's a very, very advanced level of study, Paramahansa level of study, so to say. But two books he wrote specifically for us, for the sadhakas, for the aspiring devotees, and one is this Upadeśāmṛta. Upadeśāmṛta, in Srila Prabhupād's commentary, translated as the nectar of instruction. Upadesh means instruction, Amrita means nectar. Amrita also means immortality. And the other book, of course, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the, you can say like the encyclopedia of devotion. But that's in two parts. The first part is the do's and don'ts and examples of devotional service, which is meant for us. The second part deals almost exclusively with Rasa Tattva, so is not really suitable for our reading. But these two books particularly. So over the last few months we've been discussing the commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the illuminations of our Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. So last time we finished the 11th verse. Upadeśāmṛta actually is only 11 verses, but the purport of those verses is very extensive. The meaning of those verses is very illuminating. It is meant for our, you can say, right from the beginning, who is qualified to be a guru. Basically begins the first verse, Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, the different Vegams, the different things that we are meant to conquer within ourselves. And from there, the 6 types of qualities that help us in devotion, the 6 qualities which ruin our devotion, how to associate with the Vaishnavas according to their level of adhikar, how to deal with non-devotees and so on, and then going from how we are to view the Vaishnavas and how we are to understand the different levels of Vaishnavas from Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttamadhikari devotees, and then why we should not misconceive a Vaishnava based on material circumstances. What is the process for becoming free from the disease of ignorance, avidya, and being able to conquer this material world through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Then the last verse is describing the ontological and spiritual position of Srimati Radharani and her Kunda in Vrindavan. And that was the last verse, verse 11. And now, today we're going to discuss the Discourse at Rādhā-kuṇḍa by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When he was on parikrama in Vrindavan with his disciples, between, if you've been to Rādhā-kuṇḍa, you'll see that there's one side is Rādhā-kuṇḍa, the other side is Śyāma-kuṇḍa. And between there is like a walkway between, and there's also a place where people give lectures, also like a kind of building there. So Saraswati Thakur was giving lectures every day there at that, but what is notable was that he wasn't speaking about the intimate pastimes of Krishna with the cowherd girls or anything of that type, but rather he was speaking about the foundation of devotion, that is Prahlad Charit, the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, and this Upadeśāmṛta. These are the foundational aspects of devotional service. So when if our foundation is solid, then our devotion will be solid. It is like we can see in the world, if they're building a skyscraper building, they don't just come along and just build it from the ground. The first thing they do is they dig down to the foundations. And the higher the building's going to be, the bigger the building's going to be, the deeper the foundations have to go. Otherwise the building, when the wind comes, it just blow over. So foundations are very important in that respect. And the same is with devotion, with bhakti. That the foundation is everything. If you don't have a solid foundation, that means sambandha gyan, a proper understanding of what is what. Who am I? Who is Krishna? What is the world? What is Maya? What is my relationship with all of those things? Then your devotion will not be solid without those proper foundations. Just a sentimental reading of the environment or reading of devotion will not give us the desired result. So foundation is everything. So we shall read this and then we can discuss a little. So it says, Discourse at Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The following is a translation of the lecture given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on Krishna Ditya, Sunday the 16th of October 1932, on the bank of Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa, during the Sri Gaudiya Math's Braja Mandal Parikrama, on the afternoon of the party's third day at Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa and the 8th day of the Parikrama. So, he begins. We are present today between Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa and Śrī Śyāma-kuṇḍa. We are the Gaudiya Śrī Rupanuga Sampradaya. We do not speak of anything except service under the guidance of Śrī Rupa. Before we discuss everything that Śrī Rupa's Upadeśāmṛta has said, to pull us out of the mud of the contamination that we attribute to the name of so-called followers of Śrī Rupa's associates, please hear the glories of Śrī Rupa within this song by Śrī Rupa's follower, Srila Narottam Thakur. Saying this, Srila Prabhupad requested Pandit Sripad Haripad Vidyaratna to chant Srila Narottam Thakur's songs. Śrī Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada, Se Mora Bhajana Pujana, Se Mora Pranadana, Se Mora Abharana, Se Mora Jivanera Jivan. The lotus feet of Sri Rupa Manjari are my fortune. They are my service and my worship. They are the wealth of my heart. They are my ornaments. They are the very life of my life. Se mora rasanidhi, se mora vanchasiddhi, se mora bedera dharam. Se brata, se tapa, se mora mantra japa, se mora dharma karam. They are the ocean of nectar. They are the fulfillment of my desires. They are my scriptural duty, my rites, my austerities, my chanting of mantras, and my acts of virtue. Anukula habe vidhi, se pade haibe siddhi, narakibe e dui nayane. Se rupa maduri rasi, prana kuvalaya shasi, prafulita habe nishidine. When providence favors me, I will reach those feet and see them with these two eyes. Sri Rupa's abounding beauty is the moon of the lotus of my heart, which will then bloom night and day. Tuya adarshana ahi, garale jarala dehi, chira dina tapita jivana, haha prabha koradoya, deha more padachaya, narotama laila sharana. Afflicted by the poison of the snake of separation from you, my body wastes away and my heart constantly burns. Alas, O Master, be merciful. Please give me the shade of your feet. Narottam Das has taken shelter of you. Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bale sarvajana, Sri Rupa kripaya mile jugala charana. I have heard from the mouth of the sadhus, and everyone says that by the mercy of Sri Rupa, one attains the feet of the divine couple. Haha Prabhu Sanatana Gora Puribar, Sabe Mili Banchapurna Karaha Amar. O Prabhu Sanatan, O associates of Sri Gora, may you all unitedly fulfill my desires. Sri Rupera Kripa Jena Amma Pratihoya, Se Pada Ashraya Jara Se Mahashaya. May Sri Rupa be merciful to me. Those who have taken shelter of Sri Rupa's feet are great souls. Prabhu Lokanatha Kabe, Sange Lana Jabe, Sri Rupera Pada Padme Mora Samar Pibe. When will my master Sri Lokanath take me with him and offer me to the lotus feet of Sri Rupa? Hana Kiha Ibe Mora Narma Sakigane, Anugata Narotame Karibe Shasane. Will I ever attain this? Will the intimate Sakis ever chastise their follower Narottam? When the kirtans end, Srila Prabhupada resumes his discourse. If we are to attain the mercy of Sri Brishabhanu Nandini, that means Radharani, then we have no means other than subservience to Sri Rupa Manjari. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami is the foremost follower of Sri Rupa. Sri Jiva is a follower of Raghunath. The instructions that Sri Rupa Goswami has given are revealed in the hearts of the highest section of devotees, the Paramahansa Vaishnavas. The bank of Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa is not simply a holy place, like Jambudvip, Vaikunta, or the district of Mathura. For those who beg for the lotus feet of Sri Radha, there is no other place to take shelter. Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa is their one and only place of shelter, and Śrī Upadeśāmṛta has explained how they are to follow the path of Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Because a semblance of the message of Sri Rupa can be found in the hearts of the Paramahansas in general, the first verse of Upadeśāmṛta is the same as a verse from the Hansa Gita in the Mahabharata. Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam, jiva vegam udarapashta vegam, etan vegam yovishaheta dira, sarvam apiman pritivim sashishat. Vakya vega, giving up talk of Sri Krishna and those devoted to Krishna and talking about other things. Sitting silently is also Vakya Vega. It is unexpressed Vakya Vega. Those who speak about numerous worldly matters, whose speaking power has remained waywardly engaged in worldly talk, be it in this birth or a previous birth, may after saying many things remain silent with the desire of taking rest for a little while to atone for their sins. Some may become silent for a week, and some may have performed an act of remaining silent for ages. But inside, their unexpressed urge to speak remains like a loaded gun. Genuine goodness can never come about through such artificial endeavors. Only the tongue that resonates talk of Krishna is chaste. A tongue that croaks like a frog about worldly matters or indulges in inexpressed Vakya Vega by remaining silent like a python has no chastity. We have no reason to remain silent. We have heard the dictum, Kirtaniya Shado Hari. We must always engage in Hari Kirtan. The subject, Ashraya, and the object, Vishaya, of the respective rasas of those who relish the various rasas in the service of Krishna should be discussed. The devotees of Bhagavan have no other life. Their life is filled exclusively with bhakti, with the endeavor to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Their bhakti is not mixed with abstract knowledge, jnana, meditation, yoga, or austerity, tapasya. Their entire life, their everything, their sustenance is Krishna's service. The service of Krishna is performed in 5 forms. In Shantarasa, there is residence on the banks of the Jamuna in the district of Mathura. In Dasyarasa, there is subservience to Raktak, Patrak, and Chitrak. In intimate Sakyarasa, there is compliance with Sudama, Sridham, Shtoka Krishna, and others. In Vatsalya Rasa, there is subservience to Sri Nanda and Jashoda, and in Madhura Rasa, there is servitorship to the gopis of Braja. If one becomes an emperor by holding the supramundane dust of the gopis' feet on one's head, then one can serve Krishna. If one adorns one's head with the dust from the feet of the surrendered Vaishnavas, then one will attain all perfection. Naisam matis tavad orukramang grihim.
Sorry, is that literal? You take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnavas?
Yeah, literal, but not physical necessarily. It's not just by, putting someone's socks on your head that you'll get service to Krishna. It means that your whole attitude must be subservience to the Vaishnava. If you take the dust of the feet of a Vaishnava, it means you surrender to that person, you accept them as your master. So it is not just a, larking around, trying to touch each other's feet and things like new devotees often do. That is not what it means. It means your whole being, your whole ego, your whole raison d'etre, your whole reason for life is the service of the Vaishnavas. That's the meaning of to take the dust of the lotus feet. It means that on your head, the highest part of who you are, you're willing to decorate that with the lowest part of the Vaishnava, the feet of the Vaishnava.
Guru, they used to walk and his feet used to ache sometimes. I used to give him massage, He said, your hand is very warm. I said, can I give you with my hand? And he said, but your hand is cold. Your hand is warm.
Yes, that is also not unsubstantial.
Yeah, but if you don't want his daughter to...
But this means that the service of the Vapu, Guru Vapu, means the body of the Guru. To do some service there, that is also an exalted type of service. But more important than the service to the Vapu is service to the Vani. Vani means the teaching of the Guru, the teaching of the Vaishnava. So that will be more substantial. Then Nasamatis tavad arukramang grim sparsati anartha pagamo jad artha mahiyasam padara rajo bhishekam niskinchananam nabrinitta jabat. This is from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So long as those attached to worldly happiness do not bathe in the dust of the feet of great souls who are completely detached, their consciousness, which is intent upon the removal of the unwanted, cannot touch the feet of He of great stride, Sri Krishna. This reminds me, I saw many times that sometimes, you know, when devotees would take initiation from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, after the function, they would try to touch Guru Maharaj's feet and, you know, place the dust on their head like that. And almost always Guru Maharaj would not allow it. And if by, you know, his eyesight's not so good, if somebody got that, then he would say, do you think it's so easy to touch the feet of Sri Guru? It's just like you stretch out your arm physically and that's it. And also he would also say in his humility, and now before you chant on your japamala, please wash your hands. You just touched my feet, so please wash your hands.
Usually Gurudev gives service. Before taking initiation, persons who start serving, then Guru himself says, oh, you now take initiation. And he gives service. Because we used to ask Gurudev, what service shall I do, Gurudev?
Yeah.
And then he used to give, oh, you do this.
Yes, that means bhajana kriya. Real service means service under the direction of a Vaishnava, not just doing something that we like, you know, and thinking that that's service. Service must be given by a Vaishnava and for the satisfaction of a Vaishnava, then it's actually service. And also I remember when on Srila Gurudev's first visit here, Madhusham invited him to his house for prasadam, and I was at his house before Gurudev arrived, and Gurudev came, and Gurudev sitting in the living room, and then Madhusham comes in with like a bowl and water, and he wants to wash Gurudev's feet, and Gurudev would not allow it. He said no, and Madhusham like insisting, and Gurudev got very angry and said, then I'll leave, and got up to leave, and then he said, okay, sorry, man. But he was so like adamant that he would not allow us to do that.
Why is that?
This is thinking I'm a fallen soul, you know, and also thinking we were his godbrothers, which we were. We were also disciples, although junior to him, but he doesn't like that, you know. And what is that actually, you know? What are we saying? Gurudev has dirty feet, we should wash them. But then for who are we doing it? We're doing it and we're making some show, and then we can make some show to drink that water or something like that, you know?
But I think Swami Maharaj was teaching that, so it was in people's mind.
Yes, that's right.
But, we were doing, you know, to Swami Maharaj, then Gurudev, we can do it to Gurudev as well, but Gurudev already, their feet are always clean.
Sudamaji did that when he went to Krishna.
Yes.
He said, take your pitambara off this old, put a new one on. And when he was leaving, he said, put those things back again. You know, testing him like, you know.
The only duty of the gods of the earth, the Brahmins, and all other classes is service to Krishna. If they do not do this, they all must become subject to punishment by Jamaraj. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Jamaraj said to his attendants, Tan anyadvam asato vimukam mukunda, padara vinda marakanda Makaranda Rasada Jasram, Niskinchanai Paramahansa Kular Asangir, Justad Grihe Naraya, Vartmani Bharat Rishnan. Bring me the non-devotees who are bound by desire to the path to hell, their homes, and who are averse to the taste of the nectar of the Mukunda's lotus feet, which is relished by the desireless Paramahamsas, free from attachment. Jivana Bhakti Bhagavad Guna Namadheyam, Chetas Chana Samarati Tach Charanaravindam, Krishnaya no Namati Jach Chira Ekadapi, Tan Anya Dvam Masato Krita Vishnu Krityan. Bring me the non-devotees whose tongues have never even once uttered Bhagavan's name or qualities, whose minds have never even once remembered his lotus feet, whose heads have never once bowed to Krishna, and who has never once served Vishnu. This was from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when in the Ajamil, the Jamadutas came to take Ajamil to Jamaraj to be judged, and they were prevented by the servants of Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, because he called the name of Narayan, even though it was not Narayan he was calling his son. His son's name was Narayan. But Guru Maharaj said because of his previous sukriti, his previous connection with divinity, because of his previous connection with divinity, then some connection with Vaikuntanath Narayan was affected. Guru Maharaj said, so Namabas was affected, and just by Namabas the Vishnu Dutas had to come there, and they told the Jamadutas, don't touch this man, he is not in your jurisdiction. And they said, well, sorry, but this is our job, this is what we've come to do, what, you can't prevent us. And they said, well, we are preventing you. And they said, we've never encountered this before. Then please, you go and speak with your master. Jamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans. That means one of the authorities on devotion in the universe. So they went to Jamaraj and they told, this is the case. And Jamaraj, this was his response to them. These are the people you should bring me. Manasa Krodha Vega. The mind has two types of urges: reciprocal affection and reciprocal opposition. That is, the urge for affection and the urge for opposition. Jiva, Uddhara and Upashta Vegas. These are three types of bodily urges. One who can control the urges of the body, the mind and speech is a carrier of the triple staff, Tridandi, and engaging these three types of urges in Krishna's service is a characteristic of being a master of the senses, a Goswami. If one is to engage in Krishna bhajan, then one must become a Goswami. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, a resident of Kamyavan, was such a Tridandi Goswami. This is Sri Rupa's second instruction. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jana sangas chalolyam cha sadbir bhaktir binashyati. Excessive eating, amassing wealth in large quantities, amassing strength, and amassing pratishta or prestige are all atyahara. Accepting as much of these things as is necessary to live, javan niravaha pratigraha, is the conduct of a Vaishnava. After giving up talk of Krishna bhajan, all talk that remains is prajalpa. Talk of worldly sin and piety is all prajalpa. Niyamagraha means both excessive attachment and detachment from rules. I will be attached to rules and give up Krishna bhajan, and I will give up the rules of Krishna bhajan. These are both aversion to Hari bhajan. Regarding Srila Das Goswami Prabhu, the greatest of all servitors of Śrī Rādhā-kuṇḍa, and the best of the followers of Śrī Rupa, Srila Kaviraj Goswami has written, Raghunatera niyama jena pasanera reka. Raghunath's adherence to the rules is like a line carved in stone. Jana Sangha means associating with those who are averse to Krishna bhajan. Associating with many wealthy persons, egotists and jnanis who are averse to Krishna, considering them disciples, and associating with non-devotees of Krishna is Jana Sangha. Associating with those who are devoted to Krishna is not Jana Sangha. Srila Rupa Goswami's third instruction, Utsahan nischayat darjat tat tat karma pravartanat sangha chagat sato brite sadvir bhakti prasiddhyati. Progressive enthusiasm for Krishna's service, conviction that all goodness can be attained only in Krishna's service, perseverance in Krishna's service, performing activities that please Krishna, giving up the association of non-devotees of Krishna, those who illicitly associate with women and those who associate with such persons, and following the proper conduct of the sadhus and mahajans. Bhakti develops through these 6 types of actions that are favorable to bhakti. Srila Rupa Prabhu's 4th instruction is about association. What is association, and how are we to associate with others? Dadati pratigrinati guyam akyati prachati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva sadvidham pritilakshanam. With affection, we should give servants of Krishna whatever articles they require. We should accept things given by devotees. We should speak from our heart with genuine servants of Krishna, and we should listen to what they speak from their hearts. With affection, we should feed the Vaishnavas, and we ourselves should eat the prasad given by the Vaishnavas. These 6 things are the characteristics of affection, and in these 6 ways our association with both sadhus and non-sadhus takes place. Those who selfishly behave in these 6 ways with materialists, sinners, atheists, religious hypocrites, and fraudulent devotees, mundane imitationists, prakrita sahajas, do not serve Krishna. They engage in bad association, asat sangha. So-called gurus who increase the material property of their materialistic disciples and indulge the sins of their sinful disciples associate with these materialists and sinners. Such so-called gurus and so-called disciples engage in bad association with one another. They do not serve Krishna. Sri Rupa Prabhu's 5th instruction is about service to the Vaishnavas. How much should I associate with the Vaishnava? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one of his songs has said, Jai Jaina Vaishnava Chinniya Laiya Adara Kariba Jabe Vaishnavera Kripa Jahe Sarva Siddhi Avasya Paiba Tabe. This is from Kalyana Kalpa Taru. When will I recognize and honor the Vaishnavas as is appropriate? Then I will certainly attain the mercy of the Vaishnavas, within which is all attainment. Sri Rupa Prabhu has said, Krishneti Jasya Giritan Manasadriyeta Dikshasti Chet Pranatibhischa Bhajantam Isham Shushrushaya Bhajam Vijanam Ananya Anya Nindadi Shunya Ridam Ipsita Sangalabhya. We should honor within the mind those who, under the shelter of a genuine Guru's feet, chant the name of Krishna. If they become initiated and sincerely engage in Hari Bhajan based on service to Sri Guru, then we should know them to be intermediate Vaishnavas and honor them with obeisance. We should know the association of great devotees who have taken shelter exclusively, who are indifferent to criticism and praise, and who engage in genuine Krishna bhajan during the 8 periods of the day, to be most desirable. and we should serve them in all respects. Service to the great devotees with body, mind and words is the root of Krishna bhajan. Beginners oftentimes proudly consider themselves great devotees and then fall down. We should honor the Vaishnavas with our heart, and we should give external social respect to non-Vaishnavas. If we do not honor the Vaishnavas within our heart, then our fall down is inevitable. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu quotes a verse from the Puranas in his Sandarbhas. Hanti nindanti vaidveshti vaishnavana nibhidnandati krudyate jatina harsham darshane patanani sat. Killing a Vaishnava, showing anger towards a Vaishnava, being inimical towards a Vaishnava, criticizing a Vaishnava, not offering obeisance upon seeing a Vaishnava, and what's more, not feeling joyful at heart upon seeing a Vaishnava. These 6 are the causes of fall down. In his Bhakti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has established the definition of initiation or diksha by quoting from evidence in the Agamas. Divyam Jnanam Jato Dadati Kurjat Papasya Sangshayam Tasmad Diksheti Sa Prokta Desikais Tattva Kobidhai. The Guru who can, through the gift of the mantra, establish spiritual perception in place of material knowledge, and remove all mundane sins in the form of forbidden activities within a disciple, is a giver of initiation or diksha, and those who take shelter of him are initiated. A Vaishnava who is fortunate to attain initiation into the mantra has no mundane ego. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu, quoting from a statement from the Puranas, has said, Aham kritirma karasyan na karastan nishedaka tasmat tu namaskate bhagavat paratantroso. Bhagavan's name is Bhagavan himself. The union of Bhagavan and the word Namaha through the faculty of bhakti expresses our subservience. Anugatya is the Bhagavan mantra. Ma means mundane ego, and Na is there to negate it. The word Namaha has been used for the purpose of abandoning mundane ego in subservience to Bhagavan. The master of the field in the form of the body is known as the Jiva. By the use of the word Namaha, the Jiva's independence in the form of absorption in matter has been checked. There are 3 designations for devotees: beginner, Kanishta, intermediate, Madhyam, and advanced, Uttam. In bhajan also there are 3 principles: love for the Lord, friendship with those surrendered to him, and mercy for the unknowing. Ignoring the inimical is also indirect mercy, and avoidance of bad association. Offer obeisance to the inimical from a distance. Offer obeisance to materialistic followers of the Smriti scriptures from a distance. Offer obeisance to the various schools of demigod worshippers from a distance. Speak about Hari only with those who want to listen. Worship of Hari is the fundamental principle. Austerities, rites, and so on are not. Aradito jadi harish tapasa tatakim. Naradito jadi harish tapasa tatakim. Antar bahir jadi harish tapasa tatakim. Nanta bahir jadi harish tapasa tatakim. If Hari is worshipped, what is the use of austerities? And if Hari is not worshipped, then what is the use of austerities? If Hari is within and without, what is the use of austerities? And if Hari is not within and without, then what is the use of austerities? Previously, the conception in the Śrī Sampradaya was mixed with yoga, but Goswamipad curbed this. These are the characteristics of a great devotee, a Mahabhagavat. Sarva bhuteshu ja pastyed bhagavad bhavan atmanaha. Bhutani bhagavatjatmani esha bhagavatottamaha. From Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who see the presence of Bhagavan within all beings and the presence of all beings within Bhagavan are advanced devotees. Sabe Krishna bhajana kare e matra jane. They know only that everyone serves Krishna. Everyone is a devotee, but I have never had any bhakti. Srimad Mahaprabhu said, Na prema gandosti darapi me haro, krandami so bhagya baram prakashitam, vangsi vilasanana lokanam bina, bibrami jat, prana patangakam brita. I do not even have a trace of prema for Hari. Still I cry to show that I have a great fortune. Without a glimpse of the face of that flute player, I carry on my meaningless insect-like life. Bhagavan is present as the supersoul within everyone. Horses, donkeys, outcasts, great devotees offer obeisance to everyone. The qualities of beginners, intermediates, and the advanced have been examined in both the Bhagavat and the Pancharatra. Followers of the Pancharatra have taste for the process of worship or archan, and followers of the Bhagavat engage in glorification, kirtan. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu in his Bhakti Sandarbha has said, Tata prema tarata meya naiva bhakta mahatta taratamyam mukam jair. Linger sa bhagavata priyo jadrisha uttama madhyatadi bheda vivikrito bhavati. Tani lingani tatraivachana marge tribidatatvam labate padmottara kandata. Mahatvam tu archana marga paranam madhya eva jnanayam. The gradation in advancement amongst devotees is ascertained by the gradation in their prema. The signs by which the advanced, the intermediate, and a beginner are distinguished as being relatively dear to Bhagavan are the characteristics for establishing the gradation amongst devotees. In the system of worship given in the Pancharatra, 3 stages are found. The advancement amongst Vaishnavas mentioned in the Uttarakanda of the Padma Purana should be understood to apply to followers of the system of worship given in the Pancharatra. Tatra Mahatvam Tapadi Pancha Sanskari Naveja Karmakarkara Arta Panchaka Vidvipro Maha Bhagavata Smritaha. The characteristics of an advanced devotee according to this system: a Brahman who has undergone the 5 sanskaras, engages in the 9 forms of worship, and understands the 5 branches of knowledge, is known as an advanced devotee. Madhyamatvam Tapam Pundram Tata Nama Mantro Jagascha Panchama Amihi Pancha Sanskara Paramaikanti Hetavaha. The characteristic of an intermediate devotee, according to the system of worship given in the Pancharatra: performing austerities, wearing tilak, chanting the name, chanting one's mantra, and offering worship are the 5 sanskaras. They, as practiced by intermediates, are the cause of earnest and intense bhakti. Kanishtatam Sankhya Chakradi Udva Pundra Dardandya Atma Lakshanam Tan Namaskaranam Chaiva Vaishnavatam Ihochate. The characteristic of a beginner devotee, according to the system of worship given in the Pancharatra: those who mark themselves with the conch shell, disc, and other signs of Bhagavan, wear vertical line tilak, and offer obeisance to other Vaishnavas who wear such marks, are said to be beginners. Bhagavatamate manasa lingena mahabhagavatam lakshayate. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, an advanced devotee is characterized by a particular state of mind. Sarva bhuteshu pasched bhagavad bhavam atmanaha bhutani bhagavatyatmani Esha Bhagavatottamaha. Those who see the presence of Bhagavan within all beings and the presence of all beings within Bhagavan are advanced devotees. Artha Manasalinga Visheshanaiva Madhyama Bhagavatam Lakshati. Next, an intermediate devotee is characterized by a particular state of mind. Ishvare tada adineshu balisheshu dvishastu cha prema maitri kripo peksha jatkaroti samadhyamaha. Those who love the Lord, befriend the devotees, are merciful to the innocent, and ignore the inimical, are intermediate devotees. Atta Bhagavad Dharma Charana Rupena Kaikena Kinchin Manasena Chalingena Kanishtam Lakshati. Next, a beginner devotee is characterized by marks on the body that represent engagement in service to Bhagavan, and to a certain extent by a particular state of mind. Archayameva haraye pujam ja shradaya hate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sa bhakta prakrita smrita. Those who faithfully worship the deity of Hari, but not his devotee or other souls, are beginner devotees. Prabhate charda ratre cha madhyahane divasa kaye kirtayanti harim yevai na tesham anyasadanam. Those who chant the name of Hari in the morning, at noon, in the evening, and at midnight need no other sadhana. Jaina janma satai purvam vasudeva samarchitaha tanmuke harinamani sadatistanti bharata. From Hari Bhakti Vilas. O descendant of Bharat, the names of Hari always remain in the mouth of those who previously worshipped Vasudeva for 100 births. We should chant the name of Hari 24 hours a day, every day. Those who are qualified to engage in bhajan at all times always think, everyone is engaged in Hari bhajan, only I have not performed any Hari bhajan. They have no conception that some are good and some are bad. If beginners, intermediates, or persons with selfish desires, however, imitate advanced devotees and think, I will not conceive of good and bad, good association and bad association are the same, then they will fall into bad association and will not be able to enter even the proximity of the land of bhajan. We should offer obeisance to intermediate devotees and honor the beginners. That is, we should give them enthusiasm. We should honor pandas who guide pilgrims at holy places. They engage in worship. We should offer obeisance to devotees, and we should serve experts in bhajan with our body, mind, and words. We should remain engaged in their service at all times. To external vision, we should even leave the service of Bhagavan to serve the devotees. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadyanam samarchanam. This is a very famous verse spoken by Lord Shiva. When Parvati Devi, she asked Lord Shiva, which is the best type of worship? And he spoke this verse, and it's in Padma Purana. Of all types of worship, the worship of Vishnu is supreme. But even better, however, O Goddess, is the worship of those who are his own. Abhyachayitra govindam tadiyan narchayantije nate Vishnu prasadasya bhajanan dambika janaha. This is from Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. Proud persons who worship Govinda but do not worship those who are his own are not recipients of Vishnu's grace. Now this Parvati asked Lord Shiva, which is the best type of worship? He said, worship of Narayan, that is the greatest type of worship. Then Parvati became depressed. Oh, but I am not worshipping Vishnu, I am worshipping you, then Lord Shiva said, but greater than the worship of Narayan is worship of Narayan's devotee. Then she became happy. Oh, he is Vaishnavanam Jata Shambhu. He is the greatest Vaishnava. He is always chanting Ram Nam. And I am serving him. Then my position is perfect. I have become the guru of everyone, and everyone is my disciple. The name for such an attitude is pride. A Tridandi is Nirasir Nirgamas Kriyaha. He does not bless anyone, and he does not offer obeisance to anyone. Yet even the mother and father of a Tridandi in his previous ashram should offer obeisance to him. Śrī Rupa's sixth instruction. Drishtai sabhava janitarva pushascha doshaya. Na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pasyat. Gangam basam na kalo buddhudapena pankaya. Brahma dharavatam apagachati nira dharmai. We should never look with mundane vision at innate faults, such as being low class, rough, or lazy, or the bodily faults, such as having an unpleasant complexion, a deformed figure, or an unsightly appearance as a result of disease, of a devotee, of Bhagavan present in the world. Because all these faults appear before our eyes, Vaishnavas engaged in Hari Bhajan must also be living beings just like all other jivas. If such a conception comes to us, then we are unfortunate. Bubbles, foam, mud, and various types of refuse can be seen in the stream of the Ganges, but the greatness of the liquid spirit of the Ganges is not diminished by this. Although Sattakopa Das appeared in a family of Shudras, the great soul Jamuna Muni, who appeared in a Brahmin family, said of Sattakopa Prabhu, Mata Pita Juvatayas Tanaya Vibhuti Sarvam Jadeva Niyamena Madana Anvayananam Adyasha Na Kula Pater Bakula Biranamam Srimatad Angri Yugalam Pranamami Murdaha. I offer my obeisance with my head to the holy feet of Sri Sattakopa Acharya, the first Acharya in our family. Our entire family's wealth is simply the holy feet of Sri Sattakopa Prabhu. Our mother, father, wife, sons, and wealth, everything is the lotus feet of Sattakopa Dev. Jamunacharya also said, Tava dasya sakaika sanginam bhavaneshvast api kita janmame itarav asateshu mas mabud api me janma chatur mukhatmana. This is from the Stotaratna of Jamunacharya. O Lord, a birth as an insect in the house of your devotee is good, but I do not want to reside even in the body of Brahma himself in the home of a non-devotee. Ramanuja Acharya has said, Vaishnavanam cha janmani nidralashyani janicha drisva tanya prakashani jeno bhyona vadet kvachit. This is from the Prapan Amritam of Ramanuja Acharya, and from which Sridhar Maharaj was inspired to write Prapanna Jivanamritam, in the line of Ramanuja's Prapanamritam. Even if we know about a Vaishnava's low birth, sleep, or laziness, for the good of society and to help persons whose faith is soft, we should never proudly speak about such things with others to defame them. We should overlook a Vaishnava's present and visible faults and glorify their qualities. In this verse, Srila Rupa Prabhu has repudiated the mundane mentality of the Prakrita Sahajiyas. Those who do not recognize a genuine devotee of Krishna if they have not taken birth as a descendant of the Lord or an Acharya, and imagine deceitful persons who identify themselves as descendants of the Lord or an Acharya but are averse to the service of Hari, to be Goswamis or masters, have mundane vision. They can never enter the land of bhakti. We heard from Srila Maharaj that when he was with Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Saraswati Thakur, going through all of Vrindavan, after completing the Vrindavan Parakram, Saraswati Thakur was seen, like to strike his forehead in lamentation and said, "In the whole of Vrindavan, I did not find a single Vaishnava." And someone would say, "Well, what does that mean? All of the residents of Vrindavan are Vaishnavas, are they not?" Then, but what kind of Vaishnava Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur was speaking about? And they mentioned one devotee, famous devotee. What about such and such? He's a Siddha Baba. Everyone knows he's a Siddha Baba. And Saraswati Thakur's reply was, and he was known to have perfect sadhana, to follow everything very perfectly. And Saraswati Thakur said, yes, we can admit that he may be in the beginner stage of a Kanishta Adhikari. So what to speak of us? So a Vaishnava is very rare. A real Vaishnava, that is very rare. And not just because their great-great-grandfather was a descendant of Advaita Prabhu or descendant of Nityananda Prabhu. That doesn't make them Goswami, because they're born in the hereditary line of a Goswami. We heard many times from Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami, that the son of Mozart may not be Mozart, may not be able to play the piano or compose music like Mozart, just because he's his son. There may be some likelihood that he will, but is not definite. Oh, you're Mozart's son, you must be as great as Mozart. Why? It is not like that. So, those who do not look at a pure devotee with mundane vision and see their unalloyed bhajan can quickly become free from the vision of misbehavior in an advanced devotee and develop the qualities of a sadhu. There is a difference between a sadhaka who has not developed ruchi and a siddha, realized devotee. The Prakrita Sahajya school cannot understand this point. We should know one of such persons to be a disciple and one to be a guru. We should not give advice to a guru, and we should not accept advice from a disciple. Srila Devashis therefore has said, Acharya Vishnu Shila Dir, Gurusu Naramatir, Vaishnave Jati Buddhir, Vishnu Va Vaishnavanam, Kali Mala Matane Padatirte, Bu Mumbu Buddhi. Śrī Vishnu Namni Mantre Sakala Kalashu Ha Shabda Samanya Buddhir Vishnu Sarveshvaresh Tad Itara Sama Dir Jasya Va Naraki Saha. This is from the Padma Purana. Anyone who thinks the deity is a stone, that Sri Guru is a man, that the Vaishnava is from a particular caste, that the foot wash of Vishnu or the Vaishnava is ordinary water, Vishnu's name and mantra, which vanquish all sins, are ordinary sounds, or Vishnu, the Lord of all lords, is equal to others, is damned. Swapakam ivaneksheta loke viprama Vaishnavam, Vaishnavo varna bhayopi punati bhuvam trayam. Also from Padma Purana. As one should not look at a dog-eater, so one should not look at a Brahman in this world who is not a Vaishnava. But a Vaishnava, even from outside the Brahman class, purifies the three worlds. Vipradvi sad guna jutad aravinda nabha. Padaravinda vimukat swapacham varishtam. Manyetad arpitamano vachanena hitartha. Pranam punati sakulam natu buri manaha. This is from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I consider outcasts who have dedicated their mind, words, actions, wealth, and life to the lotus feet of the Lord, or of lotus navel, to be superior to Brahmins, who have all 12 qualities: wealth, high birth, beauty, austerity, learning, strong senses, luster, power, strength, virility, intelligence, and discipline, but who are averse to the Lord's lotus feet. The outcasts purify their entire family, while proud Brahmins do not even purify themselves. Aho bataswa pacho ta gariyan, jaj jiva gre bhartate nama tubhyam. Te pus tapas te juhuvu sasno arja, brahmanuchur nama grinanti jeti. Amazing! The outcast on the tip of whose tongue your name appears is exalted. Those who chant your name have performed all austerities and sacrifices, bathed at all the holy places, observed all the codes of conduct, and studied all the Vedas. Mukha padebhya purushasham ashray mahasaha chatbaro jajnire varna gune vipradaya pritak ja esham purusham sakshad atma prabhavam ishwaram nabhajanti avajanati stanad brashta patantyadaha. The Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras were born from the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Lord through the modes of nature, along with the 4 ashrams. Those amongst them who do not serve and thus disrespect their own Creator, the Supreme Lord, lose their positions and fall down. We cannot recognize a Vaishnava by observing external detachment or external attachment. We can recognize a true Vaishnava as a Vaishnava by observing their extremely sincere attachment to Hari Bhajan and their extremely genuine constancy within it. We should not confuse a sadhaka with a siddha, master. We should not look at Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj of Navadvip's habits of chewing pan and smoking tobacco, and we should not imitate him. We should look at his extreme propensity for bhajan. Abhyartitas tad tasmai stanani kalaye dado. Dutam panam striya shuna jatta dharmas chaturbidha. Punascha jachamanya aya jatta rupa madat prabhu. Tato nitam madam kamam rajo bhairancha panchamam. Amuni panchastanam hi adharma prabhava kalihi. Otar jena dadatni nyavasat tad nideshakrit. Attaitani na seveta bhubushu purusho kochit. Visheshato dharmo shilo Raja Loka Patir Guruhu. Having been requested, Maharaj Pariksit gave Kali the places of the 4 forms of adharma: dishonesty, pride, lust, and violence, gambling, intoxication, women, and slaughter. It doesn't mean women, it means the abuse of women for sexual purposes. And the opposite is also true, the objectification of men by women for sexual purpose. Or in Kali Yuga, men for men, women for all of that. All means lust. When requested again, Maharaj Pariksit gave Kali gold, wealth, in which dishonesty, pride, lust, violence, and a 5th form of adharma, enmity, preside. Kali, the propagator of adharma, following this order, took up residence in these 5 places given by Maharaj Pariksit. And we're not to confuse Kali with the goddess Kali. It is not the same. They're not talking about the goddess Kali. They're talking about the person Kali, the personification of this Iron Age. So Kali, the propagator of adharma, following this order, took up residence in these 5 places given by Maharaj Parikshit. Therefore, souls who desire good fortune should never indulge in these 5 things. Virtuous souls, kings, social leaders, and gurus should completely avoid these things. So, gambling, intoxication, illicit sexual activity, and killing, animal slaughter, these 4 things. So you cannot claim to be a Vaishnava if you work in a betting shop. You cannot claim to be a Vaishnava if you work in the pub. You cannot claim to be a Vaishnava if you work in the brothel. And you cannot claim to be a Vaishnava if you work in the slaughterhouse or anything connected with that. If you work in McDonald's, you cannot be a Vaishnava. It is not possible. Pan, tobacco, and other intoxicants are places of Kali. Devotees should never consume intoxicants. If a habit of consuming intoxicants can be seen in any particular sadhu, then we should look at the quality of his propensity for bhajan. Otherwise, we should not say he is a sadhu because he can smoke a lot of ganja. You can call those who are addicted to drugs sadhus, but you should not call them performers of Hari Bhajan. We should not judge the bodily faults of non-devotees. We should not look at their high or low birth. We should not call them Harijans, the Lord's people, and confuse them with the supramundane servants of Hari. We should not think as follows. Ambarish was a grihasta, and therefore he was less than a sannyasi. He was a Kshatriya, and therefore he was a servant of the Brahmins. If we think like this, we will undergo tribulation like Durvasa. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dev has said, Eta Shaba Chadi Ara Varna Shrama Dharma Akinchana Hana Laya Krishnaika Sharana. Give up bad association and the duties of Varna and Ashram. Become detached and take shelter of Krishna exclusively. When drain water mixes with the water of the Jamuna, we should no longer go to judge. Oh, which water is this? This is a verse of Tulsi Das. Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Shudra Sabko Karata Bichar Hari Na Bhajeta Charo Chamara. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras consider all 4 of them untouchables if they do not serve Hari. Sri Rupa's 7th instruction. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochika No Kintvadara Anudinam Kalos Shaiva Justa Svadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Gada Mula Hantri. As people suffering from jaundice think that even sweet sugar candy in their mouth is bitter, so jivas whose tongues have been afflicted with the jaundice of ignorance since time without beginning, jivas who are beginninglessly averse to Krishna, have no ruchi for the supremely sweet name of Krishna. Although sugar candy seems bitter to someone suffering from jaundice, as sugar candy is the medicine for curing jaundice, so the name of Hari is the one and only medicine for warding off ignorance and attaining Krishna Prema. Only by constantly and uninhibitedly chanting the name of Hari will taste for the name develop. The conception of the materialists and Mayavadis is as follows. Everyone should stop chanting the divine liberating name, Taraka Brahmanam, and quietly meditate. Srila Sanatana Goswami nonetheless has said, Jayati Jayati Namannada Rupa Murare Viramita Nija Dharma Jnana Pujadi Jatnam Kattam Api Sakridatam Muktidam Praninam Jat Paramam Amritam Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. This is from Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Let the name of Murari, the origin of all joy, be glorified again and again. By hearing and chanting the supramundane name, relief from the duties of Varna and Ashram, sacrifices, meditation, worship, and other endeavors is gained. By just the semblance of Hari's name, the jiva is liberated from ignorance. Hari's name is the one and only nectar, my very life and ornament. Those who engage in Harinam Sankirtan become free from the duties of Varna and Ashram. Thus we hear in the words of Srila Madhavendra Puripad, which Srila Rupa Prabhu collected in his Padyavali. Sandhya Bandanam Badramastu Bhavato Bo Snana Tubhyam Namno Bo Deva Pitarascha Tarpan Vidho Naham Kama Kamjatam Jatra Kwapi Nisadya Jadava Kula Tamas Shasya Kanksadvisha Smaram Smaram Agaham Harimi Tadalam Manyekim Anyena Me. O daily prayers, all the best to you. O daily bath, my obeisance to you. O gods and forefathers, I'm unable to offer you oblations. Please forgive me. Wherever I dwell, I will easily be able to destroy the misery of material existence and my sins and offences by again and again remembering Krishna, the crown of the Jadu dynasty, the enemy of Kamsa. So to remove the temporary misery of material existence and my tendency to sin, I have no need for daily prayers, daily baths, or any other incidental functions. There are linguistic differences between the words in the ancient scripts, such as Brahmi, Sankhi, Karutosti, and Pushkarasa. All the dictionaries that have been created for these scripts are objects of enjoyment for jivas who are averse to Krishna. The name should not be conceived of in that way. Jaina Janma Satai Purvam Vasudeva Samarchitaha Tan Mukhe Harinamani Sadatistanti Bharata in Hari Bhakti Vilas. O descendant of Bharat, the names of Hari always remain in the mouth of those who previously worshipped Vasudeva for 100 births. Sriman Mahaprabhu has said, Nam Nam Akari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smarane Nakalo Et Tadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajani Nanuraga. O Bhagavan, you have manifest your many names, put all your power in them, and made no rules regarding the time for remembering them. Such is your great mercy. My misfortune, however, is that I have no attachment to your names. I have taste for worship, bathing at holy places, and so on, but I have no taste for exclusive service to the name. All the benefits and effects of the practices of worship, bathing at holy places, and so on are intertwined in the holy name, simply as subsidiaries. What's more, all the personal power of the possessor of the name is present in the name. Still, souls are so unfortunate that they have no taste for the holy name. Thus, Srila Thakur Mahashai has sung, Tirtha Jatya Parishrama Kevala Manera Brahma Sarva Siddhi Govinda Charana. Visiting holy places is simply labor, a mental delusion. All perfection is at the feet of Govinda. According to the conception of the followers of the Karma Kanda, visiting holy places is for purification of the heart. But purification of the heart is automatic for those who chant the holy name. Aho bata swapacho de gariyan jaj jiva gre vartate nama tubhyam. Te pus tapas te juvahu shasnorarja brahmanuchor namagrinanti yeti. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Amazing! The outcast on the tip of whose tongue your name appears is exalted. Those who chant your name have performed all austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all the holy places, observed all the codes of conduct, and studied all the Vedas. The followers of Christ's Dharma say, we should not take the name of Bhagavan in vain, and if we take the name of Bhagavan at all times, we will disturb Bhagavan. Materialistic followers of the Smriti scriptures say, Vishnu rests during the 4-month monsoon season, or Chaturmasya. Therefore, if we loudly chant the name of Hari at this time, we can break Hari's sleep. And out of anger, he can bring famine, drought, flooding, and so on to the country. So let us remain quiet. And because it is not unnecessary talk or village talk, let us give indulgence to enjoyment in the form of the unexpressed urge to speak, silence. In Christ's Dharma, however, the purpose of the prohibition of unnecessarily taking the name of Bhagavan is not that we should not call out to Bhagavan at all times. Its purpose is that we should call out to Bhagavan only for the purpose of serving Bhagavan. We should not call out to Bhagavan to take any benefits for ourselves, and though he is the proprietor, as though he is the proprietor of a garden. Taking the name of Bhagavan to acquire any kind of worldly benefit is taking the name in vain. This, in Vaishnava scriptures, is said to be an offense to the name or namaparad. Okay, so this is long, still quite a long way. No, not actually so long. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I can finish it. Yeah, I think so. Sri Rupa Prabhu's 8th instruction is the essence of all instruction. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtanano Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyoja Tishtan Braje Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayed Akilam Iti Upadesha Sharam. When sadhakas develop ruchi by following the gradual path and engaging their speech and mind in chanting and remembrance of Krishna's names, Krishna's forms, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's associates, and Krishna's lila, then they should spend their time residing in Braja under the guidance of the residents of Braja. This is the essence of all instruction. Let's read that again. When sadhakas develop ruchi by following the gradual path and engaging their speech and mind in chanting and remembrance of Krishna's names, Krishna's forms, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's associates, and Krishna's lila, then they should spend their time residing in Braja under the guidance of the residents of Braja. This is the essence of all instruction. We should always remain submissive to the residents of Braja, the bank of the Jamuna, the place of Krishna's amorous play, the waters of the Jamuna, the cows, sticks, horns, and flute are all residents of Braja. They are residents of Braja in Shantaras. Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak, and others are eternal residents of Braja in Dasirasa. Externally acting like a resident of Braja, but internally thinking of things other than Krishna is not residing in Braja. So living in Vrindavan but meditating on Mars bars is not residents of Braja. Only those who cannot even unknowingly or unwillingly engage in anything other than the service of Krishna Chandra, and who have constant natural attachment, anuraga, to Krishna's service, are residents of Braja. If we cannot reside in Braja in this body, then we should reside in Braja within our pure heart. In our heart of hearts, that is situated in pure goodness, Shuddha Satta. The mind must always be kept fully immersed in the conception of Braja. The mind is not meant for the conceptions of enjoyment and renunciation. We need to give up both of these mentalities. Enjoyment, bhoga, and renunciation, tyaga. Na nirbinna na natsakoto bhakti yoga syasiddha. The bhakti yoga of those who are neither excessively averse nor excessively attached grants perfection. Neither a householder who is uxorious and extremely attached, nor an extreme dry renunciate can engage in Hari Bhajan. We have to follow the gradual path. First is the stage of hearing, Shrabandas. We have to hear the name of Krishna and talks about Krishna. The name of Krishna will reveal himself as his form, his qualities, his associates and his pastimes. After the stage of hearing is the stage of accepting, or varandas. When the stage of accepting arrives after hearing, we begin kirtan of what we have heard. By engaging in constant and sincere kirtan, we reach the stage of remembrance, smarandas. There are 5 different forms of remembrance: general remembrance, smaran; concentration, dharan; meditation, dhyan; constant meditation, anusmriti; and absorption, samadhi. Complete constancy, free from interruptions, is samadhi. After the stage of remembrance is the stage of attainment, apandas. In this stage, the sadhaka realizes their true self. After this, in the stage of fortune, sampatidas, one attains absolute perfection, or vastu siddhi. So Guru Maharaj talking about these stages, he said, until we reach the stage of apandas, which means, attainment, the attainment of the goals, there must be some pain in our sadhana. It must be, difficult for us. We do not want to chant, we do not want to follow all these things, so some pain is there. But Guru Maharaj said, but underlying that is this prospect of eternal joy. Because if there were no prospect of eternal joy, then why would we do that? We have to properly glorify or perform sukirtan of Bhagavan's names, forms, pastimes, and so forth. If we perform improper kirtan, kukirtan, or make a show of kirtan, we will not be successful. Srinbata shradaya nityam grinatascha swachestitam kalena natidirgena Bhagavan vishate hridi. Bhagavan quickly enters the heart of those who with Shraddha always hear and chant about his activities. The rest gained in remembrance upon giving up kirtan is not real remembrance. By giving up kirtan and performing an act of remembrance, one will simply meditate on objects of enjoyment. The scriptures have explained 2 paths, that of pleasure, preya, and that of goodness, shreya. The path of preya is what we like, and the path of shreya is what is good for us, even though we do not like it. When shreya and preya become one, when the pair shreya and preya unite, shreya o preyera jugala milan hoya, then our heart runs to serve Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Then shreya becomes preya, and preya becomes shreya. Goodness becomes pleasure, and pleasure becomes goodness. The preya of an advanced devotee of Krishna is shreya, and their shreya is preya. Tad anuragi means the residents of Braja who have deep attachment, raga, to Krishna. The cows, sticks, horns, flutes, kadamba trees, and the banks of the Jamuna are tad anuragis in Shantaras. Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak, Bakula, and others who are servants in the house of Nanda and serve Krishna when he returns from the upper pasturing grounds are tad anuragis in Dasharasa. Sridam, Sudam, and others are tad anuragis in confidential Sakyarasa. Arjuna's conception is mixed with Gyan. It is not pure Sakya. There is a distinction between reverential friendship and confidential friendship. In confidential friendship, Sudam, Sridam, and others climb on Krishna's shoulders, pick palm fruits in a palm forest, excuse me, feed Krishna the palm fruits, fight with Krishna, and put Krishna on their friends' shoulders and play with him. Arjuna, however, became awestruck by seeing the universal form. You are so powerful. I have offended you by calling you a friend. Please forgive my offense. Overwhelmed by Krishna's majesty, Arjuna speaks in this way. Nanda, Jashoda and others are tad anuragis in Vatsalya Rasa. Madhavendra Puri's disciple Raghupati Upadhyay said, Srutim apare smritim itere bharatam anye bhajantu bhava bitaha. Aham ihananda bande jasalinde param brahma. Amongst those who are afraid of mundane existence, some follow the Shruti, and some the Smriti, and others the Mahabharata. I, however, worship Nanda Maharaj, who has the Supreme Absolute on his veranda. The gopis of Braja are tan anuragis in the highest, brightest rasa. Upon meeting Krishna at Shamantaka Panchaka, Kurukshetra, the gopis, stricken with separation, said, Ahushcha te nalinna nabha padaravindam, Yogeshwara ridi binchitam agada bodhai. Sangsara kupa patito dharana avalambam, Geham jusham api manasi, udiyat sada nahaha. O Lord of lotus navel, your lotus feet are meditated upon by the masters of yoga, endowed with boundless wisdom, and they are the means of deliverance for those who have fallen into the well of samsara. Although we are simply householders, may they always appear within our hearts. Your lotus feet. Worldly persons think that they will attain good fortune only when they are able to cross over the world, and renunciates of the world who engage in the practice of meditation think that experience of the subtle material plane is pure experience of spirit, but it is not a deep experience at all. Leaving this conception, the highest expression of service to Bhagavan in the conception of Parakiya, literally another's, can be seen in the gopis. Like practitioners of meditation, the gopis are not prepared to serve Krishna from a distance, but the gopis' meditation is natural and completely spontaneous. These 5 types of rasa can exist in Goloka and in Braja on earth. There are 2.5 types of rasa in Vaikuntha, Shanta, Dasya and half Sakya. There is a reverential friendship, but not confidential friendship. In Srila Prabhu's 9th instruction, the highest place of bhajan has been established through comparative analysis. Vaikuntha janito baramadupuri tatrapi rasotsavan. Brindaranya mudarapani ramanat tatrapi govardhanaha. Rādhā-kuṇḍa mihapi gokulapate premamrita plavanat. Kurjadasya Virajato giritate sevam viveki na kaha. According to the conception of a maintained maidservant, a Palyadasi, of Sri Radha, we must always reside on the banks of Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa. There is no conception of Lord Narayan's mother and father. In the conception of cause and effect, there is no cause of the supreme cause. He is unborn. In Mathura, however, the Leela of the unborn's birth, as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, can be seen. In Vaikuntha, Bhagavan is simply unborn, but in Mathura, by manifesting his Leela of birth through the influence of his inconceivable Shakti, the unborn Bhagavan's position as Bhagavan, the possessor of all glory, is even more wonderfully manifest. Thus Mathura is higher than Vaikuntha. Krishna Chandra takes birth in the pure heart of the sadhaka. Such a pure heart is also Mathura. Many people think Mathura is only figurative or subjective, but it is not. Attempting to make it only figurative or subjective is to repudiate Krishna's inconceivable Shakti. By Krishna's inconceivable Shakti, Mathura appears with Krishna in the earthly plane. The place of Krishna's rasa dance, Vrindavan, is even higher than the place of Krishna's birth, Mathura. Sriman rasa rasarambi bangsi bata tatastita karshan venu swaner gopir gopinatha shriyestunaha. May Gopinath, the beautiful inaugurator of the rasa dance, who stands on the river bank at Vangsibat and attracts the gopis with his flute song, bestow auspiciousness upon us. In Mathura, Krishna is an immature boy. At the sight of the rasa dance, he is an adolescent. At the sight of the rasa dance, Krishna danced in circles with all sorts of different gopis. Radhika ji came and saw that the speciality of her service could not be maintained in the midst of this congregational circle dancing. So she left the site of the rasa dance and came to Govardhan. Then the group leader, Chandrabali, also arrived there. Krishna sat in a cave in Govardhan, and when he saw Chandra and others, he showed them that he had 4 arms. Tulasi, Dhanista, and other gopis in Radha's party deceived Chandra's messenger, Shaibya, and sent Chandra to Shakistali. Therefore, Srila Das Goswami Prabhu, the foremost of Sri Rupa's followers, has offered his obeisance to Sakishali from a distance. After deceiving Chandravali, Radha's followers brought Shyamasundar to Rādhā-kuṇḍa. The caves in Govardhan in which Radha and Krishna's highly confidential amorous play takes place are higher than Vrindavan, the place of the congressional rasa dance. Jasjam Madhava Nabiko Rasavatim Madhaya Radham Taro Madhye Chanchalake Nipata Balanatrasais Duvatas Tata Swabistam Panam Adhadhe Vahatisa Jasmin Mano Janavi Kastam Tan Navadam Pati Prati Bhuvam Govardhanam Nasratiyat. This is from Stavavali. Who would not take shelter of Govardhan, the young couple's intermediary, where the Manasa Ganga flows and where Madhava the boatman took lovely Radha in his boat and collected his desired fare after being praised by her, out of her fear of the boat sinking in the unsteady water. Holding on his head Shyamakund and Rādhā-kuṇḍa, which are superior to billions of Ganges rivers, Govardhan Hill is more worshipable than even Mahadev. Here, surrounded by hundreds of Sakhis, who are worshipable to Lakshmi and embraced by Krishna's sweet, fragrant arms, Radhika, Krishna's beloved, dances in the mouth of Madhu, the month of Madhu, the sweet early spring. Thus, a second site of the rasa dance exists in Govardhan. Rādhā-kuṇḍa is even higher than Govardhan. This place is the plain of the full flood of the nectar of Krishna's prema. Sri Rupa Manjari, who knows the heart of Sri Gaurasundar, has instructed that service at Rādhā-kuṇḍa, which is the highest of all aspirations in the heart of Sri Gaurahari, is the pinnacle of service itself. From the members of the school of Nimbarka Acharya, members of any school following Chandrabali, and anyone who thinks that they are situated in Madhura Rasa, but are devoid of Gaura Bhakti, Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa is completely incomprehensible and unattainable. Therefore, Srila Das Goswami Prabhu, the foremost of Sri Rupa's followers, has said, Braja Bhuvi Mura Shatro Preyasinam Nikamair Asalambam Api Tunam Prema Kalpa Drumam Tam Jana Jati Ridi Bhumo Snatur Uche Priyamjat Tad Atir Surabi Rādhā-kuṇḍam Avashrayo Me. Again from Stavavali. Rādhā-kuṇḍa quickly appears as a wish-fulfilling tree of prema in the hearts of those who bathe within it. A wish-fulfilling tree of prema, difficult to attain for even Krishna's lovers. In the land of Braja, may Krishna's dearmost Rādhā-kuṇḍa be my shelter. Sri Rupa Goswami, in his 10th instruction, has ascertained through comparative analysis who is the greatest amongst all devotees. Karmi bhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim jadur jnaninas tebyo jnana vimukta bhakti paramaha premaika nishtas tata tebyas ta pashupala pankaja drishyas tabyo pisi saradika preshta tadvat iyam tadiya sharasitam nasaret kaha kriti. All types of pious karmis who are engaged in virtuous acts are better than sinners and performers of impious acts. Again, Brahma Gyanis who have given up the three modes of material nature are in all respects better than pious karmis. Pure devotees such as Shanak, who are free from Gyan and established in bhakti, are more dear to Krishna than all types of Brahma Gyanis. Pure devotees such as Narad, who are fixed exclusively in prema, are more dear to Krishna than them. The gopis of Braja, who have given their lives to Krishna, are more dear to Krishna than them. And Sri Radhika alone is Krishna's dearmost amongst all the various gopis. Like Sri Radha, Rādhā-kuṇḍa is also extremely dear to Krishna. Souls who are more fortunate than all others reside at supramundane Rādhā-kuṇḍa with supramundane consciousness and engage in bhajan to Sri Krishna during the 8 periods of the day. The highest place in all of Goloka is Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa, the supreme shelter for those who relish Madhura Rasa. The plains of Bhu, Bhuva and Swa are places of enjoyment for selfish householders who desire piety. The 4 plains above these, Maha, Jana, Tapa and Satya, are places of enjoyment for non-householders. Interim brahmacharis enjoy in Mahaloka. Avowed brahmacharis enjoy in Janaloka. Vanaprasthas enjoy in Tapaloka. And sannyasis enjoy in Satyaloka. We see in Sri Gita, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Purna Avartin Arjuna. O Arjun, from the abode of Brahma, Satyaloka, down, the residents of every plane take birth again. The intensely joyful spiritual abode of Vaikuntha is very difficult for even liberated souls to attain. But selfless devotees of Bhagavan, after leaving their body, immediately attain this abode. Even higher than Vaikuntha is Mathura, and higher than Mathura is the site of the Leela of the Rasa dance, Vrindavan. Higher than Vrindavan is Govardhan, and highest of all is Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu's conception of Prabhu's abode as 3/4 of existence is most scientific. Beyond the causal ocean is the undifferentiated plane. The conception of the impersonalists, Nivisheshivadis, however, is as follows. None of the imaginary deities of the Panchopashakas, worshippers of 5 deities such as Surya, Ganesh, and Shakti will remain. All imaginary forms of Brahma will become one. Jaja Shrutir Jalapati, Nirvishesham Sasabdi Hate, Savaishvam Eva, Vichara Joge Satihanta Tasam, Prayo Baliya, Savishesham Eva. The same scriptures that at first say that the Absolute is impersonal, lastly establish that the Absolute is a person. Bhagavan's 2 qualities of being impersonal and personal are both eternal. If we conceive in this way, then the personal aspect becomes predominant. Srimad Mahaprabhu has said, Nirvishesha tanreya kahe jay shruti gana, prakrita nishedi kare aprakrita stapana. The scriptures that say he is impersonal forbid the conception of him being mundane and affirm that he is supramundane. Those who accept the following theory are Mayavadis. Quote, because material personality has been rejected, spiritual personality should also be given up. Spiritual personality is also an illusion like material personality. The abode of impersonal Brahma exists on the far shore of the causal ocean, cleansed of the 3 non-spirited modes. The Brahma Jyoti, the light of the Absolute, exists on the opposite shore. But Jyotir Abhyantare Rupam Atulam Shamasundaram. Within that light is the incomparable form of Shamasundar, the beautiful dark Lord. In Vaikuntha there is spiritual personality. There in the mood of reverence are 2.5 rasas. The Supreme Personality possesses infinite Shaktis, and both spirit and non-spirit matter are under his control. This is the conception of Ramanuja. The Supreme Lord is the proprietor of non-spiritual and spiritual Shakti. The conception of non-Vaishnavas is to enjoy the world, but this is not the conception of the Vaishnavas. Neither enjoying the world nor renouncing the world is the conception of the Vaishnavas. Here there are many who consider themselves enjoyers. In Vaikuntha there is only one enjoyer, Bishaya, without a second, but there are many servants, Ashrayas. Lakshmi Shata Sahasra Sambrahma Sevyamanam. Govinda is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses. There is a distinction between reverential worship and confidential service. At death, when the body given by our mother and father will be retired, we will attain uninterrupted service. The Supreme Lord is the independent Supreme Person, and we have to accept his independent will. Regulations are for those whose propensity for service has not arisen and who are bound by the gross and subtle bodies. Otherwise, while bound by the gross and subtle body, to make a show of following our supramundane natural dharma is simply to become a mundane imitationist or prakrita sahajya. The rasas described in books such as Kavya Prakash or Sahitya Darpana are mundane. Such books describe the rasas between a man and a woman, or many men and many women. Again, even when 2.5 types of rasas are applied to Bhagavan, and the remaining 2.5 types of rasa are not applied to Bhagavan, but instead applied to the improper and odious affairs of jivas, forgetful of Bhagavan, then the completeness of understanding of rasa, rasa bichar, is not maintained. The complete forms of the 5 types of rasa exist in the complete plane of Goloka. The supramundane gopis have no small or big conception of above and below the waist. They serve Krishna with their whole body, with all their senses. All the sages who could not fulfill their desire as worshippers of Gopal tried to fulfill their desires upon seeing the beauty of Sri Ramachandra. However, in the Leela of Sri Ramachandra, who vowed to have only one wife, it was not possible to fulfill their desire for that rasa. So all the sages accepted the bhava of the gopis and took birth as gopis in Braja. This is stated in the Padma Purana. Amongst them, some attained perfection at the beginning of the rasa dance. This is stated in the Brihad Vamana Purana. The great personified Upanishads were astonished to see the fortune of the gopis, and as a result of their worship and eagerness for Krishna's service, they too took birth in Braja as gopis filled with prema. According to impartial judgment, the prema of the gopis in Madhura Rasa is even more astonishing than the prema in Shanta, Dasya and Sakya Rasas. Amongst the gopis, Sri Radhika is the highest of all. Srimati is the foremost of all the group leaders. The 8 Sakis, Lalita, Vishaka and so forth, are the leaders of Srimati Radhika's various groups. As a result of immense good fortune, entrance into the group of Srimati Lalita is attained. Thus, those who aspire to circumambulate Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa today have taken care to dwell on the bank of Lalita Kund. Some people think Chandrabali is the highest amongst the group leaders, but attaining the fortune of being a maintained maidservant of Sri Radha, the embodiment of the supreme ecstasy, Mahabhav, is the highest of all. Srimad Bhagavatam can fall from the hands of persons who are averse to Krishna, and thus the name of Krishna's favourite, the embodiment of the highest form of bhajan, Sri Radha, is present in the Bhagavatam in a hidden way. The most munificent Sri Gaurasundar and my Gurudev, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu, however, have not hidden Sri Radha from those who are genuinely qualified and have explained Sri Radha's position. Jata Radha Priya Vishnus Tasya Kundam Priyam Tata Sarva Gopishu Shaivaika Vishnur Atyanta Balaba. This is from Rupa Goswami's Lagu Bhagavatamritam. As Radha is dear to Vishnu, so her lake is dear to him. Amongst all the gopis, she alone is Vishnu's dearest beloved. When Sri Radhika is merciful, one can attain an eternal place on the banks of her lake. This is the highest of all places. Thus Srila Rupa Prabhu, in his last instruction in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, has spoken about bathing in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasati preyasibhyo piradha kundam chasya munibir habitas tadrigeva vyadhayi jat prestar apialam asulabham kimpunar bhaktibhajam tat premadam sakridapi sara snatur avishkaroti. Sri Radha is more dear to Krishna in all respects than all of Krishna's other lovers. Srimati's lake is also most dear to Krishna. The sages have said this in the scriptures. Sri Radha-kuṇḍa mercifully gives those who bathe within her prema that is difficult to attain for even Narad and others who are dear to Krishna. What to speak of ordinary sadhaka devotees? Those who think as followers have no qualification to bathe in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. I took a bath in Rādhā-kuṇḍa, I took a dip in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. I am a lump of blood and flesh, I am my wife's maintainer, or I am a sannyasi, I am a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. What's more, even by following the path of reverence for Bhagavan, we cannot bathe in Rādhā-kuṇḍa. We have to follow the conception of Sri Radha's maintained maidservants, but we should not imitate them. If we become a Shaki Beki, we will not attain any good fortune. Simply by decorating our male body like a female body, we do not become qualified to serve at Sri Radha-kuṇḍa. On the path of regulation, Vaidhi Marg, there is the Tridanda, and on the path of love, Anuraga Marg, there is the white dress of the Paramahamsa. The followers of the path of love say of the dress of the regulated path, Rakta Bastra Vaishnavera Porite Na Yujaya. Vaishnavas should not wear red cloth. If we are insincere, however, we will not attain good fortune on any path. Keeping the conception of Anuraga within their hearts, some externally accept the Tridanda and other formalities or wear saffron cloth. The ignorant are deceived by this. Although the writer of Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi and resident of Kamyavan, Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, externally made a show of accepting a Tridanda, the conception of Anurag ruled his heart. We have to give up our mundane conceptions. In supramundane aprakrita Braja, a supramundane Atma, attains the supramundane body of a gopi, lives in the supramundane mood of a maintained maidservant, near supramundane Sri Radha-kuṇḍa, in the supramundane grove of the supramundane Shaki, dear to Krishna, who is their chosen guru. And having externally taken constant shelter of the supramundane name, assist supramundane Sri Radha during the 8 periods of the day in supramundane service to supramundane Sri Krishna. Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was a disciple of Srila Madhusudan Das, who served at Surja Kund. My Gurudev was a disciple of this Sri Jagannath Das. There was no mundane sentiment in his conception. Jasyatma buddhi kunape triduka datuke swadvi kalad tradishu bhuma ihadi jatirta buddhi salile nakahichij janeshva abigeshu saeva gokara. Those who think a corpse made of mucus, bile and air is oneself, one's spouse and family are one's own, earthen images are worshipable, and bodies of water are holy places, and who never associate with the wise are nothing more than donkeys who serve cows. If one thinks bodies of water and other such things are holy places, and the gross body is the Atma, one cannot see Rādhā-kuṇḍa or bathe in Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Even though the mundane imitationist school thinks the Atma is the gross body, their wife, sons and family are their own, material objects made of clay and other substances are the Lord, and bodies of water are holy places, and even though they do not sincerely consider pure devotees of Bhagavan to be near and dear to them, even though their vision of the world is based on enjoyment and averse to renunciation, they still believe that they can bathe in Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Sriman Mahaprabhu has said, Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpana, se kale Krishna tare kare atma sama, se deha kare tara chidanandamaya, aprakrita dehe tanna charana bhajaya. At the time of initiation, devotees fully surrender themselves. Krishna accepts them at that time. He fills their bodies with spiritual joy, and in those supramundane bodies, they serve his feet. The supramundane body becomes manifested when the quality of being a Vaishnava, Vaishnavata, becomes manifest within the consciousness. Matter, however, is not spirit. Spirit forever is spirit, and matter is never spirit. We should not bring bhava, divine sentiment, into the gross. If we remove the dress of a Saki Beki's deceitfully dressed body, their natural male body will be exposed. I said this to Radha Raman Charan Dasji. Bathing in Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa is the highest of all ideals, in the realm of the highest attainment, Premartha. After delivering the lecture, Srila Prabhupada recited his poetic translation of Śrī Rupa's Upadeśāmṛta. When his explanation of Upadeśāmṛta and recitation of his poetic translation were completed, then on behalf of the residents of Braja in attendance, Pandit Sri Jukta Chiranjiva Lal Sarma Brajabasi, Pandit Sri Jukta Ramana Lala Sharma Brajavasi, and Pandit Sri Jukta Shiva Lala Sharma Brajavasi began to speak. They said, Today, with your auspicious arrival at Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa, we have all felt immense satisfaction. One of Sri Radha's own today has appeared before our eyes by our good fortune. Can we thank you? In response to the message streaming with nectar that you have proclaimed and the worship of Sri Radha-shyam that you have offered today on the bank of Sri Rādhā-kuṇḍa, the friend of Sri Radha's heart, Sri Radha Pranabandhu, along with his own entourage, is joyfully offering a salutation to you. What more salutation can we offer you? So we will just recount a few expressions from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tulayama levanapina swargam napunar bhavam Bhagavat sangi sangasya marchanam kim utsishaha. The sages assembled at Naimisharanya to Sutta Goswami. Let us not equate swarga or liberation from rebirth, much less the blessing, wealth of mortals, with even an instant of association with those who are devoted to Bhagavan. Bhavad vidha bhagavatas tirtha bhutas swayam vibho tirti kovanti tirtani swantastena gadabrita. Maharaj Yudhisthira said to Vidura, O Master, devotees like you are themselves holy places. They make the holy places holy by the presence of the Lord within their hearts. Mahad vichalanam nirnam grihinam dina chestatam nishreyashaya bhagavan kalpate nanjata kvachit. Nanda Maharaj to Garga Muni. O Master, the movements of great souls are never for the sake of anything other than the ultimate welfare of low-minded householders. We cannot say that the statement Srila Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu made about us is not true. Seeing our aversion to Krishna, he made this statement. Actually, he did not say this about those who have natural love for Krishna, because Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu's worshipable Sri Raghunath Das Goswami was enchanted by the Brajabasi's natural earnestness for the servant of Krishna, and even desired the association of the simple villagers residing in Braja. We have forgotten how we should reside at Rādhā-kuṇḍa and what the true nature of Rādhā-kuṇḍa is. Today, by coming here, propounding the essence of all the Goswami's teachings, Siddhanta, and reminding us of all these points, you have fulfilled us. What more can we say to you? Our prayer to you, who are Brishabhanu's daughter's own, is that you may reside here and further increase our joy. The prayer of the Brajavasis before you is that at least once a year you may come to this eternally worshipable place and increase our joy. Wowza. Okay. So that was very long, but well worth it, I think. What else will we do with our time? Go home and watch EastEnders or something? What will we do? No, we should. We should spend our time hearing Hari Katha. And this is a very famous and beautiful expression of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Rādhā-kuṇḍa. Really it is, if we can even appreciate some of what he said, our life will be extremely blessed and fortunate. There is no doubt about that. So we can close our meeting today unless anyone has a question. And we can do the arati, a little late, but still. We can do arati and we can take Mahaprasadam. Jai Vishnupad, Śrīla Rupa Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Jai Śrī Upadeśāmṛta ki jai. Jai Vishnupad, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Shrida Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupa Nugogurabhagya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Brinda ki jai. Śrīla Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Anitai Gaura Premanandi.